We will discuss the concept of hypothesis is a precise testable statement of what the researchers predict will be the outcome of the study. So before conducting the study, the researcher is making some statement regarding the outcome of that experiment. That is nothing but a hypothesis. So any statement which the researcher is making before conducting the study about the outcome of the study. So that statement is called as a hypothesis. Let me give you one example so that the concept of hypothesis will get clear. So what is the role of National Assessment and Accreditation Council, NAC, in improving library as a learning resource to its users, with special reference to Dr. Ghadi College, Gadinglas, Maharashtra. So this is research topic. In this research topic, I am interested in knowing what is the role of NAC in improving library as a learning resource to its users in any higher educational institutions, particularly with reference to Dr. Ghadi College, Gadinglas, Maharashtra. Before conducting the research or before collecting the data, so the researcher is making some sort of statements, and these statements are called as hypothesis. So in this context, what would be my hypothesis? The facilities available to user and their level of satisfaction are independent. So I may be taking one more hypothesis, that the users were agreed with the available services and facilities of the library. Suppose if I conduct the data in 5 scales, and these scales may be strongly agree, neutral, disagree, and strongly disagree, and I can represent this by using numerical values, as strongly agree is represented by 2, agree is represented by 1, neutral 0, disagree -1, and strongly disagree -2. This hypothesis becomes, that means the users were agreed with the available services and facilities of the library. In this case, the word agreed appears, and for agreed I am taking the value as 1. I can say that the average is equal to 1, that is my mu equal to 1. So likewise, a hypothesis is a claim to be tested, or we can say that a hypothesis is an unproven statement or proposition that can be refuted, rejected, or supported, accepted by the empirical data. Or we can also say that a hypothesis is a statement or assertion about the statistical distribution, population, or parameters of the statistical distribution. That means we can say that this distribution follows normal distribution, Poisson distribution, likewise. So I will give you some examples so that you can understand what is the hypothesis. So the first example is related with the average life of a bulb is 1000 hours. So it can be written as H mu equal to 1000. So this is nothing but stands for the hypothesis. This mu is nothing but population mean, and in this example I am saying that the average life of a bulb is 1000 hours. So this H stands for hypothesis, this mu stands for the population or the average value, and this 1000 is nothing but what the researcher is making claim about the average life of a bulb, that the proportion of literates in certain locality is 55%, and it can be written like this. So H stands for the hypothesis. So if I minimize this, so kindly focus only in this area. So what is this H? So this H stands for the hypothesis. P is nothing but the population proportion, and my claim is the population proportion of literates in a certain locality is 55%. Take one more example. India will score on an average 300 runs in the next ODI series. So what would be my value of H? So H is nothing but mu equal to 300, and the average is denoted by mu. Average marks obtained by a student of Shivaji University in statistics is at least 80. My H would be average marks, and this mu is at least 80. That means at least 80 is nothing but 80 or more than 80, that is greater than or equal to the value 80. And if you take one more example, the proportion of diabetic patients in Maharashtra is not more than 10%. These are the examples of hypothesis. First, make the claim about the underlying study, and that should be in a numerical form like 1000 hours, 55%, 300, at least 80, and more than 10%. Now, so what is the simple and composite hypothesis? So if the hypothesis which completely specifies the population is called as a simple hypothesis, and if the hypothesis which does not completely specifies the population, that is called as a composite hypothesis. See, this is the example. So I have taken that H is mu equal to mu naught. So if you write in our hypothesis the equal to sign, we can say that it is completely specified. See, I have written this H stands for the hypothesis, mu equal to mu naught. My population mean is supposed to be mu naught, and my population variance is supposed to be sigma naught square. So this is completely specifies the population. If you see these examples, that mu equal to mu naught, but this sigma square is not known. That means this sigma square is not specified. Or if you write this sigma square equal to sigma naught square, so mu is not specified. So this is also the composite hypothesis. Or if you write this, see the sign in this case, the sign is less than, the sign is greater than, or the sign is not equal to. All this, see, this is sigma square is greater than sigma naught square. So all these examples are related with composite type. In this example, in the first example, mu is equal to mu naught, but there is no mention of sigma square because sigma square is unknown in this case. Therefore, it is a composite hypothesis. If you take the example, if my parameter mu is 280, is nothing but a simple hypothesis. And if my population proportion is equal to 0.58, this is also called as a simple hypothesis. Whereas if mu is greater than or equal to 280 or p is less than or equal to 0.58, so these are the composite hypothesis. Now, so what is null hypothesis? So a hypothesis of no difference. Suppose if you write like this, there is no difference between population mean and sample mean. So that is our null hypothesis. And a hypothesis of difference is nothing but a alternative hypothesis. Alternative hypothesis means what? If you say that there is a difference between population mean and sample mean, that would be the alternative hypothesis. And according to R.A. Fisher, the hypothesis which is tested for possible rejection under the assumption that it is true, and a complementary hypothesis to null hypothesis is the alternative hypothesis. So whatever you are writing which is complementary to your null hypothesis is known as an alternative hypothesis. A hypothesis is accepted in case the null hypothesis is rejected. If you reject the null hypothesis, then your alternative hypothesis should be accepted. And if you are accepting the null hypothesis, then your rejection of this null hypothesis is the alternative hypothesis. It is denoted by H naught. So this is denoted by H naught. The null hypothesis is denoted by H naught. Whereas the alternative hypothesis is denoted by H1, or it is also denoted by HA. So A stands for alternative, H stands for the hypothesis. This one is denoted for alternative hypothesis. So now take some examples. So if I say like this, that my H naught is mu equal to 100. Here the hypothesis states that there is no difference in the population mean and 100. Both are same. Whereas if you write like this, the alternative hypothesis, mu which is not equal to 100. So that is a two-tailed test. We will discuss this afterwards. This sign is which is not equal to, therefore it is null hypothesis. See the sign in this case is less than 100. See the sign in this case which is greater than 100. So the alternative hypothesis is which is complementary to the null hypothesis. My null hypothesis is mu equal to 100. Therefore the complementary is which is not equal to or less than or greater than. So these all are nothing but the alternative hypothesis. Take one more example. So H naught is mu1 equal to mu2. So this hypothesis states that there is no significant difference between two population means. That means the two population means are same. That is denoted by mu1 equal to mu2, and this is my hypothesis. But what about the alternative hypothesis in this case? The second alternative hypothesis may be like this, which is a left-tailed test, mu1 is less than mu naught, and the third one may be mu1 which is greater than mu2, and that is nothing but the right-tailed test. So these are the difference between null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. So can you getting my point? What is meant by simple and composite hypothesis and the difference between null and alternative hypothesis. Now take some examples and see what are the null hypothesis and what would be the alternative hypothesis in this. Suppose if the average life of a bulb is 1000 hours, how I can write this? My problem statement is this. These are my problem statements, and these are the null hypothesis, and these are the alternative hypothesis. What is my problem statement in this case? My problem is the average life of a bulb is 1000 hours. So how I can create a null hypothesis, how I can develop a null hypothesis? A null hypothesis in this case is H0 is mu equal to 1000, whereas my alternative hypothesis is mu which is not equal to 1000, which is a two-tailed test. If I take the proportion of literates in certain locality is 55%. So what is my null hypothesis? My null hypothesis is H0 P is equal to 0.55, whereas the alternative hypothesis is H1 P which is not equal to 0.55, which is a two-tailed test. See, India will score on an average 300 runs in the next ODI. So my H0 would be mu equal to 300, whereas my H1 may be like this, which is not equal to 300. The average marks obtained by students of Shivaji University in statistics is at least 80. So I can develop this null hypothesis as mu equal to 80, whereas my alternative hypothesis may be like this, which is a left-tailed test and which shows that mu is less than 80. And what about this? The proportion of diabetic patients in Maharashtra is more than 10%. My null hypothesis in this case is P equal to 0.10, and my alternative hypothesis is P which is greater than 0.10, because which is more than 10%, which is nothing but a right-tailed test. So these are the few examples of null and alternative hypothesis. So today we will stop here and continue with some more terms in testing of hypothesis in the next lecture. Till then, goodbye.